Debriefing Saturdays in His Presence. That's a long name, isn't it? Debriefing in His Presence is really what we called, renamed it. And this is a moment where you actually get to debrief from all the things that you've experienced the past few days this week. This is the seventh day of the week. It's traditionally, it is called the Sabbath. It is the last day of the week, and we prepare for the first day of the week on Sundays. And there's always been something very special about Saturday mornings, hasn't it? Most of us grew up around cartoons and Cheerios on Saturday mornings, and it was always a time that we looked forward to because Saturday mornings were so special, except for when it was time to do chores. And so we're bringing that back, and just to help you center a little bit and get you refocused and realigned. And as I was preparing to do this particular session with you, I thought about how many people are wearing themselves out trying to be something they're not, trying to be the copy of someone else. You know, you make a great original, and a copy just doesn't suit you. You are the best at being yourself. And there are those who have lived decades on this planet and have never met the true self of themselves. I think you will be amazed when you discover who you really are. And you will be shocked that it took you so long to get around to you, because you were taught to be a teacher or a wife or a business person or a pastor or a lot of other things we've been taught to be. But there's not a ton of teachers still today teaching you to be you. Because the reality is that nobody really knows who you are but God, until He reveals to you who you are. And I'm grateful that despite the fact I feel that it took a long time, that I really do know who I am. Maybe that's where the confidence, the peace, the assurance, the rest comes from, is to be able to turn that camera or pull up the mic and just let Him flow. Because when you get to the place that you're no longer intimidated by people staring at you or leaving nasty comments or shunning you, when you get to the place that none of that matters but being locked into being you and who God called you to be, and that's where the flow is, the flow of blessings, the flow of opportunities, the flow of promise, the dreams of God coming into fruition in your life. So if you're tired of wasting time on being a copy of somebody else, being an image that someone else has presented to you that you thought you should be. I remember being around people who would say, you don't look like a pastor, you don't look like a minister. I would be puzzled because I didn't know what that looked like. Like, what is that? What is that? What am I supposed to look like? And then I realized that their ideal was their church culture. It was their religion. And it wasn't who God was saying to me I was. That I wasn't going to dress like what other people wanted me to dress, and or take off my makeup because it suited somebody else, that they were offended in my lipstick. I wasn't going to do that. Not that I couldn't, I just wasn't going to. It wasn't necessary. What are you doing in your life that's not necessary? Have you changed you so that you could be in a group, or you could be around people that you wanted their respect and you wanted their strokes? I call them strokes, telling you how wonderful you are. Where have you compromised just to be with somebody or be with that person, and you know you're not feeling it? So in debriefing in His presence today, I want you to just answer that question for yourself. You don't have to put it in the chat. You don't have to text me. You could, but you don't have to. to just come to terms about who you really are. Are you living the life that God has called you to live? Or are you living the life somebody else told you should live? I don't know if you realize it, but we got one trip around here. And even if there is such a thing as reincarnation, I don't care if it is or if it isn't. I wouldn't bank on it. I would still go with this one and realize that you got to live from the place of authenticity and who God has called you to be so that you can do the things you've been called to do to the best and utmost of your ability. So take a deep breath, release and let go of the counterfeit you, the clone of somebody else, the shadow of somebody else, the image of someone else, the ideals of someone else. Take a deep breath, release and let that go. You don't have to be who they said you were. You don't have to be the thing that they said you were or do the things they told you needed to do. Find out who you are first, the big who, the official who. And once you discover that, there is an exhale, a sigh, a relief, unlike anything that you've ever known before, when you can exhale and say, whew, the day I met myself. I had a little song that I wrote, and I thought I had the pamphlet right here with me, but apparently I don't. So take a deep breath that I remember to put things in place. But I remember most of the words, I do believe, and it goes something like this. The day I met myself, my life began to change. The day I met myself, nothing remained the same. You see, I fell in love with me so deep and completely. It was the day I said, I love me. So I want to leave you with that today, that you will fall in love with you and no longer have the need to be something you're not, because you are perfect at being you. God bless you. Take a deep breath. Be perfect at being you. Until next time, I'm DrFaye. Remember, the calling is a gift, but the choice is yours. And I'll be seeing you around.